Prompts are like the building blocks of AI voice agents. A good prompt equals a great voice agent. And in this video, I'm going to teach you the perfect way to prompt AI voice agents. This video is going to serve as a complete masterclass on prompt engineering for AI voice agents. I'm going to break down the different components that create the perfect prompt. And not only that, I'm also going to give you examples and templates that you can use while you're creating your own prompt. So for anyone who is wondering why does it even matter to write a good prompt, so let me tell you that the quality of your prompts define how well the AI responds. If you have a bad prompt, then probably AI is going to hallucinate, it's going to sound robotic, and it's going to be a bad user experience in itself. Whereas if you write a good prompt, it's going to sound clear, it's going to be human-like and reliable. Now, obviously, if you're taking it to the real world, that means if your customer is speaking to it, for example, we cannot afford misinterpretations. And that is why it becomes very important to write these prompts very carefully and in a great way. Also, you have to structure your prompts clearly. That means you have to have the correct components in the correct order so that you have better control over your AI voice agent and also it gives you fewer errors. So in my opinion, it's better to spend time learning here than to waste hours troubleshooting your voice agent that doesn't work. Now, the next question that you might have is, why me? What have I done? Who am I? Why are you even listening to me? So let me tell you that I have built different sorts of AI voice agents for different businesses across different industries. For example, I've built them for restaurants, doctors, lawyers, healthcare, and more. From that journey, I have gained enough experience to tell you what works and what doesn't. And I'll just put together all of it in this presentation that I am going to walk you through in this video. Also, I have deep experience with Retell AI. For a long time, I have been creating voice agents on Retell, and I pretty well know what it is looking for and where it works, where it does not. So I think it's going to be a good choice for you to watch this video till the very end. And also before voice AI, I have extensively worked with chat agents, AI chatbots. And as you know, they are also based on prompts. So you can think of me as a good tutor when it comes to prompt engineering. And for chat agents, they were like 5 pages long. So yeah, and also I prefer straight to the point information. So you're not gonna waste a single minute on this video. When it comes to my teaching experience, I have taught thousands of people AI automation through my YouTube channel, and I also have my own consulting practice for AI automation again. So I teach my clients how they can build these solutions, I help them troubleshoot it, and more. And I have got tested frameworks that prevent AI from hallucinating or going off track. So that is going to save you a lot of headache. And if anyone's interested in working with me, the link to my website is in the description below. If anyone is interested in consulting, then again, the link to my calendar is in the description. Another thing to note here is that this video is specifically for Retell AI, but the same principles work for any other AI voice agent platform as well. Okay, so before getting into writing prompts, you must understand that there are 2 types of agents that you can create on Retell. One is single prompt agent and second is a multi-prompt agent. A single prompt agent just has one prompt. Its entire life is just based on that. And it's quick to set up. You can set it up in a couple of hours. But the thing is, you have less control over it. And if you wanted to do a lot of tasks, then it might not be great at that. And there comes a multi-prompt agent. So whenever an AI has to decide between multiple tasks or has to execute multiple functions, for instance, it has to answer customer queries. For that, it has to search the knowledge base. Secondly, it has to take orders. For that, it has to search the menu. Thirdly, it has to add the order to the system. For that, it has to call another function. So for these complex tasks, one should generally go with a multi-prompt agent. and they're like collection of prompts. So you can think of it as a collection of single prompt agents, and it just switches between them as needed. So as soon as a call comes, it decides whether it should go to the order reservation part, the table reservation part, or it should go to the customer support part, or whether or not it should take an order. You get my point. But yes, apart from these individual prompts that each task has, it also has one universal prompt that is the same for all of these different tasks. And that is basically to define the tone, identity, and rules of the agent. To summarize, single prompt agents are for simple tasks, and multi prompt agents are for serious business AI voice agents. So if you're just learning, you're starting out, then single prompt is good, but for the real ones, go with multi prompt. Let me explain it better with the help of a few screenshots. So this is a multi-prompt agent. So as you can see here, this box consists of the prompt, and it is just one prompt. The entire agent works on this prompt. Whereas if you see a multi-prompt agent, first it has that universal prompt I was talking about, which gives the rules, guidelines, the identity, tone, and all of that. And then comes these different smaller individual parts. For instance, if you see this picture, the first is for answering questions, second is for human transfers, third is for product suggestions, and fourth is for order tracking. And now each of these have their own prompts. So for instance, if you click on order tracking, it's going to open up something like this for you, and the order tracking box itself has its own prompt, as you can see here. So the best thing about this is, since all of these different tasks have their own prompts, your main prompt does not get too long, it does not get too confusing, and everything is structured and it's good. So I hope you have decided whether you want a single prompt one or a multi-prompt one for your use case. But even if it's a single prompt agent or a multi-prompt agent, I would recommend watching the entire video, because a lot of things are kind of similar for them. For instance, the universal prompt and things overlap. So I wouldn't be repeating it twice again and again in the video. So it's better to watch the entire thing. So now that the basics are clear, we can directly go into the prompt engineering techniques for AI voice agents. So the goal is to build an AI voice agent that is clear, controlled, and reliable. We are going to start with single prompt, and then we will move to multi-prompt agents. I'm going to cover the best practices, hacks, tips. I'm going to give you examples. I'm going to give you templates that you can use directly, and it's going to be fun. Okay, so stick till the very end. And if you master these, your AI won't hallucinate or go off track. That means you're going to save yourself a lot of headache. Starting off with single prompt agents. So since it is one long prompt for the entire agent, it becomes very, very crucial to divide it into different components and not mess it up. So firstly, you're going to have the identity of the agent that is going to define who it is. Then you're going to have the style guardrails, which are basically instructions on how it should speak, what its tone should be, and similar. And these are kind of the same for most of the agents. And then the third is going to be the task breakdown, which is very important, which is going to tell it how to take the conversation step by step. Okay, and the fourth one is going to be the function calls. So in case it is making any function calls, then how and when it should use them, that is something we need to specify in the prompt correctly so that it is able to execute them at the correct time. And the fourth point is only for the advanced agents. If you don't have any functions, then you can skip the fourth point as well. And then optionally, you can add a notes section. So let's say you're testing it and then you see that something is off, then you can just mention it under the notes section, and you don't have to go through the entire prompt to mention it at the correct place. Okay, so now let's go through each one of them one by one. So firstly, coming to the identity. As I said, the agent must know who it is and what it does. This keeps it focused and helps maintain a personality and tone. Now, here I've given you one of the examples. Now, this is not a hard and fast rule that you just have to write it in the exact words using the exact punctuations. It's not like that. You must understand the point. That is that, you have to first tell it its name, you have to tell it who it's working for, what its job is, what its role is, what it should do, and what it should not do. This should be in 3 to 4 or maximum 5 lines, and you don't have to stress a lot about it. So look at this example. You are an AI-powered voice agent for Jenny's restaurant responding to customer queries over the phone. So in one line, you're telling it who you are and what you do. You are friendly, professional, and dedicated to providing helpful information. While you don't handle reservations or payments, you're telling it what it's not supposed to do. You use your knowledge base to assist with menu inquiries, hours of operation, and other general questions. Now you're telling it what it's supposed to do. So just give it the scope of its work. You're supposed to do this, 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 and this. You're not going to do anything outside of that. So that if a customer asks for something that you have not prompted it to do, it can just simply transfer the call to a human instead of trying to help them. Okay, so this becomes important. And then here I've given you a template that you can use directly when you're writing your own prompt. So let me move my camera a bit here. Yes, so you are agent name. If you want to give it a name, it's good, you can give it. And then an AI powered voice agent. For business name, it's very important to tell it the business name, and then your role is blah blah blah, and then your tone is this. You do not handle these, but you do handle these. Okay, so that is the identity prompt. Don't stress a lot on this. Okay, so yeah, and then you can read why it really matters. Okay, so that was the first component that comes at the top of your prompt. After that, you can have the style guardrails. Basically, these are short bullet points telling it how to talk, what its tone should be, and how it should ask questions, how it should answer, and stuff regarding that. And this becomes important. If you skip it, then your AI voice agent can be a bit rough. So here I've put together a very, very simple list that you can include in your prompt. This works for mostly all of the voice agents. You can obviously tweak it as you want to, but this works really well. So first is going to be concise. Being concise is a big job, because if it keeps on talking, then it becomes boring for the customer, and that's not what we want, right? So it should speak to the point and also avoid unnecessary details. After that, you can tell it to be engaging. That means be conversational, be helpful. Then get clarity. So, okay, before that, we have stay proactive. So, stay proactive, that is guide the users through the conversation smoothly. I think that's a very general instruction. Then we have get clarity. This is important. So, let's say that if something is unclear, then the voice agent should politely ask it again instead of just, thinking or assuming things. So, this is important to have. And then avoid repetition. Again, this is important so that it does not repeat and sound robotic. Then we have use business context. Again, this is good to have. So instead of saying Jenny's restaurant, it could say our restaurant. Okay, so this here you can change it to your business name, and this is something that you should have in your prompt. Now, I'm not saying have the exact same ones, but I think this is a good starting point for you, and then later on you can add more points to it. So these are about 6 points, I think. But it's good to have like 6 to 10 points based on what your voice agent is actually doing. This is a very general one, to be honest. And then why it matters: it keeps your AI professional, natural, and engaging. It keeps the conversation smooth and avoids robotic speech. One of my other prompts that I have on this slide, you will see more of these and a bit more specific. So I have about 10 points, I think, in that, and they are kind of more specific to that particular voice agent, but I'm still going to share that with you. Okay, so again, no stress on this one as well. The one you should take stress about is this one. So this is the task breakdown. This one is important. So at the top, you have your identity, then you have your style guardrails, and then you have the task breakdown, where you're giving it a step-by-step instruction on what it should do. So let's say in the beginning, how it should introduce, then what it should ask first, then, what details it needs to gather from the other person, how it should help, and more. So yeah, this is worth getting stressed about. And this is the exact part where you will be spending most of your time while writing the prompt. To make this process easier for you, I have divided it into 3 parts. So firstly, you can just, jot down the headings of what it's supposed to do. So for example, the first point is introduction. The second point is ask for availability. The third point is conveying information, something. Fourth point is gathering information. It could be anything. Fifth point is there anything else I can assist you with? Sixth point is something like closure. So you can just jot down the flow that it should follow. Just the headings, okay? Just the small title of that particular task. After you have done that, then you can just go to each and every point and then just explain what AI must do in that particular step. So if my first point was introduction, I can just write below it that greet the lead by name and provide context for the call. You can just tell it, right, how you have to introduce yourself. That's it. Just a one-liner or two-liner about that particular heading. Okay. Then the third step is provided with examples and scenarios. So let's say for introduction, you can just give it one line on how it should introduce itself. And then if different scenarios exist, then you need to nest them properly. I'm going to tell you that just in a moment. So I hope you get it till this part. First, write down the headings. Secondly, explain the headings. And thirdly, include the examples. If you do this, you'll just have the task breakdown in front of your eyes. Now, I was talking about this part, that if different scenarios exist, nest them properly. So let me explain it to you. So let's say that the heading is ask for availability, and basically it has to ask whether or not the user is available. And this is the example. Do you have a couple of minutes to go over some details? It will be quick. Now here, if you see, there are two instances. If one is that the user is available, and second is that he or she is unavailable. So here you have to mention that if the user is available, you have to do this. So if available, do X. If unavailable, do Y. So this is what's called nesting. So I'll give you an example on this part, don't worry. But I hope you get the gist of it. Also, here are some pro tips for when you're writing this particular task breakdown. So let's say that at a particular point, you want the AI voice agent to just shut up and listen to the customer, right? So at that point, you can just include this phrase, that is, wait for user response in your prompt, and it's going to make sure that the voice agent keeps quiet and listens to the person on the line. Next is going to be nesting your scenarios properly, which I was talking about. So if available, do X. If unavailable, do Y. So you need to tell it what to do in either cases. And this is more often used in yes or no parts. And then third is keep the instructions simple and structured to prevent confusion. You can ignore this part. Now let's move to the example. As an example, this was for an outbound agent, which was supposed to make call to the other person and then ask them if they had time, and then ask them a couple of questions and see if they were a good fit, and then booking call and stuff like that. But I'm just using this example to give you an idea of how to write the task breakdown. First step, as I said, jot down the headings, that is introduction, ask for availability, confirm firm information, request permission, additional information gathering, evaluation, scheduling, confirmation, and closure. So that was the first step, if you remember. Second point was to write a description of that particular point. So here it is greet the lead, and then here it's this, here it's this part, here we don't have one, you can skip it if it's not necessary, here we have this. So yeah, just giving it basically one-liners or two-liners. And then thirdly, we have to include the examples. So here we have an example, here we have it, this, and this. Okay. So that was about the 3 steps. Now coming to nesting. Okay, so this is a good example of nesting basically. Well, it's not particularly nested, but it gives you an idea of how you need to write 2 different lines for 2 different instances. So the first line is that if all the criterias are met, then proceed to scheduling. Scheduling is the next step, okay? And if the criterias are not met, then politely end the call. So I hope you get my point. 2 different lines for 2 different instances. And then you can see nesting here as well. If they confirm, do this. If they don't, or if they want to do something else, then do this. Okay. So this is something that you need to include in your task breakdown itself, so that the AI voice agent doesn't has to think, that what do I do now? It already has that in the prompt. If yes, do this. If no, do that. Also, if someone is interested, I have made an entire video on this particular voice agent. I've taught it from scratch. I have taught all the functionalities. So if you want, you can click on this and watch the entire video. I will have this entire presentation linked in my description below. Okay, next up. Now, some voice agents can be extremely simple. Okay, they don't even need to have a task breakdown. Like a customer support agent who is just supposed to say, how can I assist you? Listen to the user's question, give an answer. Listen to the question, give an answer. Thank you for calling, bye. So for that agent, you don't need to have this long task breakdown with the headings and the descriptions and the examples, right? So in that case, you can have a very, very simple prompt in normal, language, telling it that, first ask how can I assist you, then search the knowledge base to give accurate answers. If needed, make recommendations. If not, just conclude. So yeah, if it's pretty simple, you can skip that. But if it's a good one, then please follow the task breakdown one. Again, I have taught how to make this simpler one. If you want to just start out, then you can watch this particular video. This was the same one as the Jenny restaurant one that I told you in the identity. So that's the exact voice agent that I'm teaching here. So you can learn how to use knowledge base, you can learn how to write a simple prompt, right? And yeah, that's up to you. Okay, so moving forward, till now you've given it an identity, you've given it its tone, its style, you've given it a task breakdown, what it should do, right? Now comes functions. Firstly, what are functions? Functions are basically actions that the AI voice agent can perform that is beyond just responding with text. For instance, checking the CRM, checking the calendar, making a reservation, retrieving user details, or adding something, deleting something through API calls, or through maybe you connected your voice agent to a make automation or to a Zapier automation. So in that case only, you have to have this in your prompt. If you don't have that, if you just have a simple one, then you can skip this part. Okay. Now, each function must be explicitly triggered in the prompt at the right step. So let's say that you are asking for the customer's name, email, and phone number. Now, right after you have collected the phone number, you should tell it that execute so and so function before moving to the next step. And in that case, it's going to be immediate and it's going to call the function at the right time. So, there are 2 key steps when adding function calls to your prompt. First, mention the function where it needs to be called, as I said. Next, list all the function names and their purposes at the end of the prompt. So, you've added, that call this function at this point of time in the prompt. All good. But I would recommend that at the very end, just mention all the prompts that it has access to. For example, if it has 4 functions, write down all the four. First, write the name of the function and then write the job of that particular function. I know it's not a very hard and fast rule to have this, but I think it's good so that the agent at least knows its capabilities. Now, one thing that is very important is that you match the function name in the prompt exactly to the one in the functions sections. So when you create a function, it tells you to give your function a name. So let's say you gave it a name check underscore calendar underscore availability. Now, this is the exact name that you have to put in the prompt as well. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Okay? Same name, same name everywhere. Okay, so yeah, just make sure to have it at the right time in the prompt. So let's say that when's a good time for you to talk, and then wait for user response. After they have given you the time, use this particular function to verify availability, and then at the end have all the functions. Name remains the same. Okay, so single prompt is done, and now we finally move to multi-prompt agents. As I said, most of the things are going to be the same for both. They will overlap. So there's not a lot that you have to learn. It's going to be the same information that you've learned so far. So yeah, let's buckle up and complete this one as well. Okay, so if you remember what I said, multi-prompt agent has one universal prompt that remains the same for all the tasks that it performs, basically. And it applies across all the states. So they call those small boxes states, okay? So yeah, a multi-prompt agent still follows the same rules. It's going to have the identity. It's going to have the style guardrails, same, and it can have a few general interaction guidelines or notes, you can say. So maybe you're testing it and then you found something, then you can just put it in the universal prompt and the entire agent, like all of them, are going to follow it. So this one is pretty simple. You can refer to the previous slides for the templates and all of that. I've already discussed how to write the identity prompt, the guardrails and all of that. Interaction guidelines, nothing much, just normal stuff that you want it to follow. Okay? What not to include in a universal prompt. So firstly, task specific details. So for example, if it's taking an order, if it's making a reservation, if it's answering customer support questions, that is not something that comes in the universal prompt. That is something that go into the individual prompts. Okay? Now you can no doubt tell it in the universal prompt that you're responsible for this, this, and that, but don't start explaining how you should do that, which functions to use, what to say, these are the examples, and all of that. Don't do that. Okay? Next, function calls. You don't have to mention any function calls in the universal prompt. They again go into the individual prompts. Okay? Because they are specific to one particular task. Next, qualification logic or decision trees. Basically, that what it should, let's say that it picked up a call. Now, which path it should go? That's not something that goes in the universal prompt either. It goes into the intro prompt of the prompt tree. Okay? So yeah, just don't mention these three and you can just mention this one. The universal prompt should only define how the AI speaks, not what it does. So let's give you an example. So identity prompt. Okay. Then we have the style guardrails. As I said in the beginning, I have one that has about 10 points. So these are the 10 points. If you want to give it a read, you can. And then rules to follow every time, or you can see the guidelines or the notes. These are some things that I saw when I was testing it, and then I just mentioned it here. But to be honest, you should have these in your voice agent as well. So it's good to have this point. It's good to have this one. It's good to have this. Yeah, so you can basically have all 5 points in your prompt. And then if you find anything else, then you can keep on adding to this particular part. As I said, it's not a hard and fast rule to have the same exact structure. The only thing is that you convey all the information to it. So here I've conveyed it. You are Zara. Name, you work for Shoppies. business name. You are responsible for this primary task, and blah blah blah. For this, you can do that. So, for instance, for your limitations, you can transfer the call, be cheerful, helpful, professional, and human-like. So, I've given it all that it needs to know about itself. Then we have the style guardrails, that is, be concise, be proactive, use variety, focus on clarity, one question at a time, stay in character, accuracy first. The thing is that it's good to have it in the multi-prompt agent. It's good to have so many points for style, but it's not a great idea to have so many in the single prompt agent, because anyways the prompt is going to be long in that case and we don't want to overpopulate it. But for the multi-prompt, it's good you can have so many points. Okay, so yeah, I hope the universal prompt is clear to you. Okay, now if you remember that particular slide where I had 3 pictures for the multi-prompt agent. Firstly, we had the universal prompt. We have done that. Secondly, we had that tree, remember, with the different boxes, or you can call them states. And then each state had their own individual prompt. When you click on it, you see a box where you can add the prompt for that particular task. Now, that is what I'm talking about when I say task breakdown. So each prompt in a multi-prompt agent should handle only one task and transition to the next based on user responses. So let's say that one task is answering customer queries, second task is taking orders. Okay, so both of these tasks should have 2 different boxes, 2 different prompts, and different functions. Okay, so that is one thing to keep in mind. Now, if you might be thinking that, okay, I've segregated them into, let's say, 4 to 5 boxes. What's next? How do I write the prompt for each one of them? Let me tell you that it is the same as the task breakdown for the single prompt agent. You first jot down the headings, then you give the 1-liner, 2-liner descriptions, and then you give examples. It's the same thing. So if you haven't watched that part, go back and watch it. If you have watched it, then great. And yeah. Next, what's different in multi-prompt task flows? So here are a few points that you can keep in mind, not too necessary, but yeah. Each prompt should be self-contained. So that means that every prompt should be self-reliable and it should not depend heavily on the other tasks. Okay, so these are introvert people and yeah. Everyone should have their own set of tasks. Next, define transition between prompts. So when you connect these boxes, it asks you to write 1 line or 2 line, telling it when and why to transition. In that case, you can just state a simple line, that is, if the user wants to do X, transition to step Y. If you don't understand this part, then you've probably not watched the multi-prompt agent video in which I had taught how to create those branches, those transitions, and all of that. If you watch that, you're going to you will know. But yeah, it's simple. If the user says X, transition to step Y. Okay. Next, use branching logic. So this is the same again, nesting, which I talked about earlier. That is, if yes, do this. If no, do that. Okay. Minimize unnecessary steps. Only ask for information when it's needed. And then function calls are used within each task prompt. This is important. So let's say that there is a function that let's say checks calendar availability. So that particular function should only be in that particular state. Let's say there is a state which is for appointment scheduling. Only in that particular state should that function be mentioned. It should not be mentioned in the customer support state. So that's something that you have to keep in mind. Again, the appointment booking prompt should contain the book appointment function, but not some other. Okay. Final takeaway, a multi-prompt agent is not just a single long prompt. Instead, it is split it into different parts. Each is independent, logical, and transitions smoothly. So let me give you an example. So let's say that there's this one box or one state for order tracking. So this is the prompt for that particular state. So firstly, you jot down the headings, then you give the description, and then you give the example, similar to the single prompt agent's task breakdown. If you want, you can have notes or rules at the end of the prompt, but it's completely optional. Now, if you still have some knowledge gap and you are not getting how these multi-prompt agents work, what is this tree, what is this branch, what is this transition, then I would heavily recommend watching this particular video of mine, in which I've amazingly taught how to create multi-prompt agents. And after you watch this, it's going to be very clear on how they work, and then you will be able to write the prompt in a better way. Okay, so yeah, I hope this is clear too. Now, some hacks, tips, must knows that you should know before you go ahead and create your prompt. So Retell AI gives you these variables that you can use directly in your prompt, and they can really help you with the dynamic stuff. For example, time. How will your voice agent know what is the time? It is going to know that through this particular variable. So you have two curly braces, and inside of that you write current underscore time. If you mention this at any given point in your prompt, it is going to automatically fill it with the current time in America, Los Angeles. That is, let's say this one. Okay. And if you have a different time zone, then you can just add another underscore and then mention your time zone, and it's going to accordingly change the time. These are not that much needed, but I've still mentioned them if anybody needs them. But the most used one is current time, and I would say that in every voice agent, please tell it the time so that it can say stuff like today, tomorrow, next week, this Monday. So yeah, just have this. And then again, one more thing, if you want your voice agent to know the number from which the call is coming and its own number, then you can mention these two variables. One is user number and one is agent number. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that you want the voice agent to say something like, hello, you're calling from 1234567 8. Is this the exact number you used to place the order? Right? So instead of asking the user to give their phone number, you're just confirming whether or not it's the same number they're calling from. So to do that, just mention this particular variable and it will be automatically filled in with their phone number. Same goes for the agent's number as well. Well, this is not very necessary, but if you want, you can just have that. Now, some speech customization, pauses, and speed control rules. So if at any given point of time you want your voice agent to slow down, so for example, when it's reading numbers or if it wants to have breaks, so at that point you can just have this dash, okay? And then in that case, it's going to take a pause. So instead of saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it's going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay. Now, if you want to have longer pauses, just have double dashes so that it's going to take even more time. So 2, 1, 3, so on. So again, small tips, but they help when you have to build certain functionalities. You can use this speech pauses thing when reading phone numbers, when spelling out email addresses, before delivering important information, right? So if it's saying something important, maybe you can just ask it to have a pause and then say. It's going to make it more human-like as well. And also when emphasizing key details like pricing. Instead of saying it in one line, it can pause, say the pricing, pause. So that the other person can also think about it, okay? So using proper pauses make the AI sound more human and prevents misinterpretation of critical details. Now, here are some short prompts that you will need every single time. So I'm just telling you. So if any point of time, if your agent has to speak out the time, then you can just use this exact prompt in your prompt. This has been given by Retell AI. It's on their documentation if you want to check it out. And so what it will do is that it's going to read out the time in a more natural way. So instead of saying whatever it would for this particular thing, it would say 1 p.m. For this, it would say 3:30 p.m. And then for this, 8:45 a.m. Okay. And then we can tell it never say o'clock. Instead just say o'clock. Okay. So it's just a way to give it a pause. This is non-negotiable. Always say AM or PM. So whenever you want your AI voice agent to speak a time, please include these lines in your prompt. For a single prompt or a multi-prompt, you can have it in your universal prompt, and that's not an issue. Similarly, when it has to pronounce the website, maybe your voice agent needs to confirm the website of the person it's speaking to. So in that case, you can give this prompt and it's going to read it out in a way such that the other person can understand. For example, for this one, it's going to read it out like abctest.net. You must be wondering, why is this so important? Why is this a big issue? Let me tell you, it is. It's going to read it out in a way that no one can understand. So it's better to have these lines in your prompt every time you wanted to read out the website. Okay. Nextly, email. Again, very important. It reads them out in a horrible way. So just make sure to have these lines and it's going to pronounce them in a way people can understand. And same goes for phone numbers. Have this. So I will give you access to this presentation. Check out the description below, and then you can just directly copy paste them whenever needed. So in this video, I taught you how to write the prompts, but it's also important to learn the basics of the platform, learn how to design functions, how to do transitions, right? And all of that. So if you really want to learn that, I have a playlist in which I've taught how to create single prompt, multi-prompt, outbound, inbound agents. You can simply go there, binge watch it if you want to, and then you're also going to be a pro. Okay, so this is the link to it in case you want to check it out. You can also directly go to my channel, go to playlist and check the one for AI voice agents. Okay, this is perfect for business owners who want to create it for their own business, for automation developers who sell it, or for AI enthusiasts who are just looking to learn it. Okay. So that is it for this particular video. I hope this was helpful. I hope this was valuable. Now, if you go ahead and write the prompt, it's going to be very structured. It's going to be in the correct way. It's going to be perfect. Obviously, if you follow my instructions, just make sure to have the components laid out one by one. Make sure to give it some time. Also, it's not very important to write the perfect prompt in the first go. Write it once, test it, make some changes, test it. But since you've watched this video, you're not going to take a lot of time in that process as compared to someone who has not watched the video. But yeah, that is what I had to say. Just don't overthink about that. And yeah, if you found it valuable, please give this video a like so that other people know that, okay, this is worth watching. And if you were really impressed, please subscribe to the channel because I have more and more videos regarding AI automation that can obviously help you in the future. You can look for this slide in the description. Also, if someone is looking for creating AI solutions for their business, such as AI automations, workflow automations, AI chatbots, AI voice agents, then the link to my website is in the description below. We are an AI automation agency. I'm the founder of the agency, and if things go well, I would be more than happy to collaborate and create solutions for your business. Apart from that, if someone is looking for personalized learning, so let's say that you want to learn a particular thing or you got stuck at any point and you want to have a one-on-one call with me, then the link to my consultation calendar is also in the description below. So yeah, I'm going to leave you here, and yeah, don't forget to practice. Let me know how your experience was in the comments below. And yeah, I'm pretty tired now. I'm just gonna go. Okay, bye.